Hello guys and welcome back. Today we are going to be learning about JavaScript objects. So before we get started, there are two things I forgot to mention in our previous video about arrays, which I will be mentioning today. Alright, so let me just first of all comment all these logs. Alright, one of the things I forgot to mention is how to delete a specific element inside an array. We've looked at how to remove elements from the end of an array and how to remove elements from the beginning, right? What if I want to remove elements from the middle like this? How do we do it? Now, the way we can do it in JavaScript is by using a method called slice. Let's say, for example, I want to remove this 19 from this ages array, and I scroll down here. Then I will say ages dot splice. Remember, we looked at slice in the other video, but this is splice. Splice takes 3 arguments. First is the start. Where do you want me to start? Second is the delete count. How many should I delete? And the third is what I want to impute. Alright, first of all, let me first comment every code that adds something to this age. I don't want to really do anything to the age, so that we can have just this age like this here. Okay, now I want to delete this 19 alone. So 19 is in what position? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the position 4, right? So I'll be starting from position 4, and I want to delete one item, which is the 19 alone. So after doing this, if I log to the console ages now, you will see that 19 is already gone. Yes, 19 is already gone, nowhere to be found. And I can delete as many as possible. I can delete even 19, 18 and 100. That's 3 items. And by specifying that I want to delete 3 items here, once I save this and I go back to refresh, all the 3 are already gone. That's the way you can delete an item. And there is one method that I forgot to mention also. How do we check if a variable is an array? Let's say I created a variable like this. How do I check whether this variable is an array? I know most of you will be thinking about type of ages. If I log to the console type of ages, it's supposed to give me an array, right? But it won't. It will be an object, because literally everything in JavaScript is an object, except for the primitive like numbers, null, strings, right? So this will not give me. But how do I know? To check that a variable is an array, we use the method array.isArray. Then we put the variable we want to check there. So this will return a boolean, either true or false. So when I go to my browser, it returns true, meaning this ages variable is actually an array. If I try to return another thing that is actually not an array, it will give me false. Let's say I return an empty object like this. This is an object, right? Let me just give it a name, and I try to log it into the console. Yes, it's false. So these are the two things I forgot to mention. Now let's get back to JavaScript objects. In today's video, we'll be learning how to create and access object properties. We'll be learning about object properties, creating, adding and deleting, object methods, built-in method and object constructor. So let's get started. But let me start by pasting this scenario, a real-life object. Let's assume a real-life object is a car that we all know, right? Yes. A real-life object also has properties and methods. For example, a real-life object like a car has property like a name, which can be car.name, which is the name. Also have a property like car.model, what year was it made. Also have property like car.color. Yes, and also a real car has method like car.drive, like car.stop, car dot, let's say, brake, and so on and so forth. Now you notice something about a properties and a method. A properties is written like this, while a method has a parenthesis after it. Now let's look at a JavaScript object. Let's say I create a JavaScript object called car, and I'm using the curly braces like this. And first of all, the car, I have the type, that is the type of the car. Remember, to create an object we have a prop key and a value. Don't forget, we learned about it in the previous videos. The type of this car, let's say, is a Toyota. Then the model, let's say this is 2015 model. The color, let's say it is white. And this is typically a car object. You can see each of the let me say a car object has properties. Each properties are key and value pair, and sometimes you might want to view an object properly. Imagine you have a object that have a lot of properties. Writing it like this sometimes might be tiring, right? So some people decide to break it down like this, which is also allowed in JavaScript. You can break your objects like this and it still makes sense. Alright, so now we've learned how to create a car, how to create an object rather. Now let's see how we can add properties to an object. Remember, each of these are object properties. Now for me to let me first talk about accessing a property. Let me say I want to check the type of car, and let me log into the console. I will see car dot type. Once I log this into the console, before I log into the console, let me change this to object. Remember, I'm in a new file. Good. So let me now reload and see, yes, the result is Toyota because I logged up the car.type into the console. Same thing as every other properties, you can log it into the console. Another way to log, apart from using the dot notation, you can use the bracket notation by saying car. But when using the bracket notation, you put the property in a string like this. This is still the same thing as the previous one. So once I save and refresh, you can see we still have the Toyota. Once I change it to color and save and refresh, we still have white, right? So that's the two way to access properties of an object. Now what about adding properties to an object? Let's say, for example, I'm done creating an object with these three properties and I want to add another property to the object. Now let's say, okay, I want to add another property. You use the dot notation and give the name of the property. Let me say I add a property can drive equal to, and you will put the name of the property and the value, meaning, okay, I just create this property on my head, like, okay, to check if the car can drive, then put true. So whenever I go into the console and log into the console, car.can drive, look at it, it's true, yes. And whenever I try to log the car totally into the console, actually you'll be surprised what will be logged into the console. Yes, Here now we have our can drive. Yes, here is it, can drive, which is true. You can see that, right? Good. So that's that about adding. You can add as many things as you like into an object already. Okay. And what about deleting a property? To delete a property, you can specify by saying delete with the delete keyword and specify the property. Maybe I want to delete the color. I can say car.color. Once I run this and I log the car into the console, the color property is already gone. Check it. The color property is already gone. That's how to delete a property from an object. Now, let's talk about object methods, like some things that we have here. Now, to create an object method, you will agree with me that we use a function. Let's say in this car, I want to create a method. So I will call it, what should I call it? What should I call this method? I'm thinking, okay, let me call it drive, right? So I will leave it like this, then create a function, then log. Let me just say this car is driving. Now what I did was I create a property called drive, but this is not a property, actually is a method. But I create a key called drive, then I specify a function. So function is always denoted inside an object, is always denoted as a method. So if I log into the console car.drive like this, it won't work. You can see VS Code has already changed the color, specifying that this kind of property is a method. You can see is instead of just a normal property. So I will use my parentheses. Then once I reload, you can see this car is driving. Yeah. Okay. I hope you understand how to create a method in a car. Alright, then you can also create a method outside the object also by saying car dot. Let's say I want to create a method called move, then I will specify it here. Then I can create everything I want to create there. So that's basically how to do that. Now let's look at built-in methods, built-in object method. Let's say, for example, here are the built-in method that we'll be looking at. First of all, the first one, we'll be looking at object.entries. Second one, we'll be looking at object.keys, and also we'll be looking at object.values. Yes, let's say, for example, this is my car object. I want to check the keys inside the object. I want to see how many keys do we have. I want to check the key. I want to list it out. I can just say object.keys. Then I'll specify the name of my object, car. So this will return an array containing the keys, the type, model, color, drive, and can drive. You can say that's all the object. And also, if I say values, then it will create an array containing the value instead of the key. You see, these are the value: the Toyota 2015 white and the function, which is for the drive, right? Yes. Why for entries we create a multi-dimensional array containing the key and the value, and this is how it looks like. Yes, a multidimensional array, that is, it creates an array that contains another array. The first array will contain the key and the value. Second array will contain the second key and the value. Third will contain the third key and the value. Fourth will contain the fourth key and the value. Remember, the value is a function. That's why it's like this. But once I open it up, you can see the function clearly. Yes, that's what entries does. And entries can be very, very useful if you want to loop through an object. Let's say I want to loop through an object using the for in loop. Let's say I want to loop using the for in loop. I'll say for, let's say let x in car, right? Normally that's how to loop through an object, is that not so? But there's a better way to do this. If I say log into the console, let me try something, car, and log into the console like this. I'm logging each of the values into the console, and if I reload, yes, I will get all the value very well. But there's a better way of doing this, by using the object.entries, by saying object.entries, then I'll put my car, then this will give me access to each of the, remember, this object.entry usually return an array containing key and value. So I can say, okay, this is the key and the value. So I can simply improve by saying let me just use key, and the value. Thank you. Now if I log this into the console, yes, the 0, okay, I'm supposed to use the for loop, pardon me, I think that's why this is having the issue. Let me refresh. Okay, yes, the type and the Toyota, the model and the 2015, the color and the white, the drive, and you see the key, both the key and the value is being specified. If I do this very well, yes, it's being specified. The reason is because now we've converted this object into an array. That is why the for in loop is not advisable anymore. So that's why we are using for loop. So pardon me, and I think this is the first time of you seeing me chaining a string like this. Remember, you can concatenate a string by using the plus sign, the arithmetic plus sign. Just plus it, see, plus, reaching the plus sign, you can join strings to strings. So this is basically what I'm doing right here. And then let's look at object constructor. Yes, this is a very good thing that you need to look at. Now you can decide to build something that will continue to help you build more objects. Let's say, for example, this is a car, right? And I want another car. Let's say this is a car 1, right? And I want an object for car 2. What will I do? I will start by still saying, okay, the type of this car is Benz, then specify the next one, the model is 2018 model, the color is green, the drive is this, that. And imagine I want to create like 10 cars. So do you think I will start creating it like this? No. And this is how to do it, by using what we know as object constructor. And how do we do this? Let me remove this, yes, and let me comment out this part. Yes, now to do it, to construct an object, we use what we know as a function. We use a function. So I'll use a function. I'll call this function, I'll call it car. And the best practices to construct is starting your function with a capital letter. It's just the best practice. You will see it, many people, that's what they do. And I will do my square braces. Remember, this is basically how a function looks like. Now, but this function, we want to use it to generate more objects. So I know that our object will contain a type, it will contain a model, it will contain what else here? A color, and it will contain can drive, right? So in my constructor, I will say this dot type should be equal to type. Then you can see immediately I use the this. VS Code changes this to green, saying this constructor function. You can say this is a now because I'm using this inside this function, it changes it. Now this is just a normal function, but immediately I use this, it has turned to a constructor function equal to the type. Then this dot model equal to model this. So let me just be fast about that. I will click on Shift Alt then down button so that I can be fast. The dot color, all these shortcuts I've already explained it in previous video. Can drive, because can drive, yes. Alright, then if I want to create a car1, I will just say const car1 will be new. I will use the new keyword, new car. Using this car is representing our constructor function, which is the car. Yeah, car. Then I will specify, okay, the name is Toyota. You can say, okay, the name is Ford. The model, you can see the model is 2019 model. The color is blue, and the can drive is false. Let's just assume this car can't drive itself. Okay, I made a mistake. I've already declared car1 already. That's why we are seeing this red. So I can go ahead and also declare another car by saying, okay, car2. I say, okay, this is Camry. This is produced in 2010. This is 2010 model. This is black, and this is true. You can see easily I've created two cars just by using my object constructor. So I can decide to log into the console, log, and say car1 dot can drive. Once I save it and reload, you can see we have false here. Yeah, that's it. Remember, this is not actually a function now. The can drive is not a function because we are not giving it a, okay, we did not specify the drive. Oh, okay, now I get. You can decide to also put drive function also as just add it to the argument we have in the function, then use the this to bind it, and that's all. So we can also say car2 dot drive, and it will also give us, yeah, true, which is the true here. And that's how to create an object constructor. Now, one thing you will want to ask is, okay, what if I want to add a new property into the car? Let's say I want to add a new property to car1. Okay, let me comment this out first, and let me remove this and say car1. I want to add a new property. Let's say I want to add drive, car1.drive, and I want to add it. You can simply do it like this, the way we had our normal. Oh, I omitted the arrow, pardon me. So I can just decide to copy this and save it. Once I reload, you notice that the can drive has already, the drive rather function has already added to the car1, but this will not be in car2. Look at it. If I reload now for car2, look at it. Car2 doesn't have drive because this drive is only accessible to car1 because we use the car1 object to add it. But imagine that I want to have this drive to every of the cars that I've created. I will be using the car constructor by saying, I know many of you will assume this by using the car.drive and it will add it to every of the cars created, but no, this will not actually happen. It won't add anything called drive. The way we can add a new property to a constructor is by using its prototype, by saying car.prototype then dot. So in its prototype we can continue to add any other properties or method into it. So here now, car2 has already automatically, car2 will inherit any of the new function in the car constructor. If I refresh it, the reason why it won't be there now is because I've already created the car2 before adding the prototype. So once I move this prototype up before creating it, then let me reload. Now, okay, let me see. Okay, let me see car2.drive and see. Yes, you can see this car is driving. So we can also do it and say car1.drive, and you can see this to show you this car is driving because they will automatically inherit that method or function from the constructor. I hope this is actually understood. There are many more things, beautiful things you can do with objects, and this is just the basic explanation of how objects actually works in JavaScript. There are many more things to do. Maybe in the coming videos we'll be explaining them. I hope you like this video. I will see you in the next one.